So, hi guys, how are you doing? What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Josh.
Josh, how you doing? I'm Dale.
I'm Dozy.
Sorry?
Dozy.
How you doing, Dozy? What I'm doing is I'm asking people if they think that they're susceptible. Do you think you're a bit gullible? Or do you think you've got a strong sense of discernment, critical thought? Do you think you could be made to believe something that's not true?
For me, no.
You don't think you could, so you think you're quite critical in your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely.
So could I go through a wee process just to see how critical you actually are? So I want to just get some agreements with you first, right? See, what's your standard of accepting that something is true?
What do you mean by standard?
What would you expect if I asked you to believe in something?
Yeah.
What would your standard be in order for you to accept that it was real?
Some facts.
Facts, so like a practical demonstration?
Yeah.
So what about if I said to you the Loch Ness Monster's real, but I can only show you it on a video? Would you accept that as fact?
No.
Why not?
Because you can make videos, you can edit videos and shit as well.
Exactly, so would you say then it would have to be shown in front of you, you would have to demonstrate it? So would you say that's proper science?
Yeah.
That should be the proper scientific method? So do you think that you could be made to believe something's not true, or do you think you may have a belief that's maybe not true?
I have a belief that's maybe not true.
So going on what we agree, would you agree with what I've just said? Would that be your standard as well?
Yeah.
So what if I gave you a video of the Loch Ness Monster and I gave you an explanation, like a mathematical explanation that said that the Loch Ness Monster, the possibility of it being true is true, would you accept that?
I think I would.
Yeah.
You would accept a mathematical possibility?
Yeah.
But do you understand that mathematics is just a language?
Yeah.
It's true.
But as it's a formal science, it's not a natural science, so it's just a language, it's a language that humans have created in order to explain things.
Because everything's based off mathematics, so...
Do you think so?
Well, for me, I think so.
So if I go back to the standard again, for me I'm really critical in my thought. I need a practical demonstration of substance. So if somebody makes a claim to me about the reality I live in, they need to show me that in order for me to accept that it's true. Just as your friend says, a video is not enough for me because video can be manipulated, as you quite rightly stated. So, if I was then to say to you, you know how a liquid behaves? Do you know how liquids behave?
Yeah.
Well, how would you describe a liquid? How would you say it behaves? Free moving, free flowing, can't support shear stress. Would you say that a liquid will always take the shape of its container?
Yeah.
How would you describe the surface of liquid in a containment? Flat.
Yeah.
Flat. What then if I was to say to you that I can show you a body of liquid, like a bathtub or a swimming pool, and I can bend the swimming pool and I can make the water conform and make the bend on the surface of the water? Would you accept that if I showed you an image of that?
Probably not.
No? Why not? Because it's not your reality? Because that's not how liquids behave, and you know that through your own experience. So would you then trust your own experience then of that over my image? So knowing that, I'm just going to go with this one point. You know how a liquid behaves? The surface is always a horizontal plane.
Yeah.
Do you believe you live on a globular Earth?
Yeah.
You do? Why?
Science.
Yeah.
What science?
Discovery, going up in space and stuff.
Have you ever been there?
No.
Gee, where did you see it on a TV? But yet you just agreed with me a minute ago that you wouldn't accept an image of the Loch Ness Monster, but you accept an image of a ball Earth. So here's the thing, I've gave you a fact that you can verify for yourself and how a liquid behaves, but yet you would suspend that in order to believe an image of a globular Earth that shows you oceans bending around and showing the curvature on the water. I'm just trying to reason with people to show, like, I used to believe this as well, but when I actually studied what science actually was and had a discerning mind for myself, there's a certain standard I require, and an image just doesn't cut it for me. Especially when those images are no actual photographs, they're CGI, they're computer generated images. In these space industries, they tell you that the images they're showing you are composite images, they're not actual full photographs. So what I'm asking people is, as you said, you would take your direct reality over an image.
Yeah.
So what's your choice? Do you believe in how a liquid behaves, or do you believe a mathematical explanation backed by an image.
Liquid behaves how it behaves.
You can't deny it, can you? There's no scale you could go to where you could start to bend a body of water and maintain that bend on the surface. We use liquids to level. We build and construct on a level. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
But these guys right now that are putting that together, that platform has to be absolutely level. What's it level to? The earth beneath it. They would use a spirit level to level that. Do you know what a spirit level is?
Yeah, I know the little liquid thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because liquids always maintain level. So there's one fact that debunks the belief that we live on a spherical earth. Have you ever witnessed curvature of the earth?
No.
No? When you look at the horizon, how would you describe the horizon?
Flat.
Flat. Flat. So you've never witnessed the curvature of the earth, you've never been to space to see the earth as a ball, but you believe it. Yeah. Are you having doubts?
Yeah.
Do you think it's healthy to have those doubts? You wouldn't want to believe something that wasn't true, would you?
No.
No, you wouldn't either. You don't want to be gullible and believe in things without actually knowing for yourself. So another quick point. So the horizon's always level, it's always a straight line. Liquids are always a straight line. They also tell us that we live in a medium that's a vacuum and we live in a gaseous pressure. Now in physics we understand that in order to have pressure you must have a container of some sort. And if I was to take that container away from the pressurised area in a medium like a vacuum or a body of water, the pressurised gas would disperse evenly in every direction. That's physics.
Yeah.
But again, we're to suspend that and believe it's different, that we actually live in a vacuum with no containment around us, and that we maintain a pressure because of a magical force that they call gravity. But yet nobody can show us that. But anyway guys, I just wanted to trigger your thought and see if you could, think rationally and reasonably about it. Because for me it's important. I take reality, real science, as what can be demonstrated. So when somebody tells me a liquid can bend around an object, show me that. But you couldn't show me it, could you? Could you show me it? Because the surface is always a horizontal plane. Guys, I hope you think about it and have a wee look into it, because it's a huge topic right now. I think it's important for people to start thinking about it. Alright, any questions? No. Cheers for speaking to me, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Enjoy it.
Cheers.
Documentary about?
I'll get to that. If I say, then it's going to kind of interrupt the flow of the conversation. Do you mind? Is that alright? That's fine. So what's your name, sorry?
My name's Murray.
Murray? Owen?
Lewis.
Lewis, how you doing, guys? So you're studying at the university there, are you?
Yeah.
So you're into chemical engineering, is that right? So you're into science?
Yeah.
Can I ask you what your definition of science is?
Definition of science?
Science.
How everything works.
How everything works?
Basic fun.
The scientific method is a way of understanding the world that takes out most of the human error as possible.
Exactly.
Try to be as objective as possible.
So looking at natural phenomena.
One of the aspects, yeah.
Well, it's the natural sciences, isn't it? It's the study of the natural world, as you say. So we're looking at natural phenomena, no man-made things and blah, blah, blah. So what would your criteria be then for you to accept something as being real?
Proof.
What's the thing?
Hard evidence, practical demonstrations,
Yeah.
Objective evidence.
objective evidence.
Believing it'll work.
So an objective evidence then, so if I can get some first principles on my standard of objective evidence, would you accept an image as objective
Image.
evidence?
It depends.
Depends.
Depends on.
Because it can be tampered, right?
Can be tampered. Yep. So what if I gave you an image of the Loch Ness Monster and said the Loch Ness Monster was real?
I would be critical.
Critical.
Skeptical.
What if I could give you a picture of the Loch Ness Monster with a mathematical explanation of how the Loch Ness Monster is real?
A mathematical explanation.
Mathematical explanation. How would I do that?
Yeah.
Well, maths is a language.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
It's a formal science.
Yes.
So when we're talking about objectivity, we're talking about the natural sciences, physics, biology, chemistry. Mathematics is a descriptor, and it must match tangible objective reality. Would you agree with that?
it must match it.
Well, in order for it to be objectively true, your mathematics. See, the thing is like any other language, like using English, I can say Santa Claus is real, or I can say Santa Claus is not real. Now, both are grammatically correct, but one's a lie and one's the truth.
You got to remember though, all science is based on theory and it's based to be proved wrong, and scientists will never be proved wrong, so it's just all one big theory. So they're not 100% sure on it, it's just the best.
So would you say in your logic then, if I made a claim, then the burden of it is on you to somehow prove me wrong?
Say if it's consistent and constant, you could make a good claim saying that it's proof, for scientific proof at
But
least.
burden of proof in my world is the affirmative claim is the burden of proof. So when somebody makes a claim to something being objectively true, the burden's on them, it's not on me.
Yeah.
You would accept that. So what I'm trying to get, guys, is a gauge for your level of acceptance. So could I say then, just one at a time, would you accept an image as scientific proof of anything?
No.
Just
Well-
kind of debatable, don't really know.
Debatable?
An example.
An example? Loch Ness Monster.
If you prove it, aye.
Well, I can't prove it just with an image, can I? That's why I'm asking you your standard of acceptance. You wouldn't accept that? What if I told you I could fly? And I could show you, I could show you. But what if I could only demonstrate it in a video?
Then it's not true.
No.
It's not true, because video and image can be manipulated.
Aye.
Do you understand fluid mechanics?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Have you got a barely understanding of fluid mechanics?
I think we're just about to start it. So
We have a module in the next trimester, thermal fluids.
Thermal fluids. So if I gave you just, what I'm looking for is not an appeal to authority or consensus or any of these things, I just want your direct experience. How would you describe a liquid's behaviour?
A liquid's
Erratic.
behaviour.
Yeah,
Erratic. Erratic.
erratic. What do you mean?
Unstable sometimes, depending on variables, temperature.
Temperature, pressure. Yeah, yeah. Standing body of water. Like if you fill your sink, you fill your bathtub, you go to a swimming pool, how would you describe the characteristics and the behaviour of that liquid?
And filling it up or stop filling it up?
If I just premise it and say, for me a liquid will take the shape of any containment, and it will always seek its lowest potential energetic state, and it will fill and seek any hole to fill the void, and it will always level. The surface of any body of water in our direct reality is always a horizontal plane. Would you agree with that?
no, because sometimes it like curves over. See if you got like water in a cup and you put it all the way to the top, it like
You're talking about meniscus, surface tension.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. So on a small scale, if we put it in a test tube, you can get a meniscus.
Yeah.
And if you use something like mercury, you'll get the opposite, you'll get a convex meniscus. But when we start to collect it into bigger bodies,
I know exactly what this is.
this is the thing, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a flat
okay, you're
earther.
good.
Okay,
You are.
I'm just a skeptic, alright? Now I'll put flat earth in my titles purely because it's a trending thing, but I do not represent any flat earth map or model. I don't make any claims to the dimensions of the earth at all. Okay, my only claim is that the earth's demonstrably level.
The earth is level.
The earth is demonstrably level. If we go to mathematics, do you know what Euclidean plane geometry is?
I've heard of it, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, when we construct and we navigate, we use Euclidean plane principles. So you know who Alexander Euclid was?
No.
They formulated axioms, basically planar geometry. So, like in construction, you know, anything we build, anything engineering aspects, we use plane principles. So we assume a level earth beneath our feet, and we construct and we navigate from there. You don't know about that, so I don't want to go any further with that if you're not sure of the topic.
No, I'm not entirely sure. No.
Well, that's, you can look into it, look at who Alexander Euclid was and, you know, Euclidean plane principles. So we use these things, you know, fluid dynamics, fluid mechanics is a fundamental knowing, you know, liquids take the shape of their container, the surface is always a horizontal plane. We build canals under these principles, we build dams and, you know, whatever else. So if we're using these things, but we've got another aspect of reality telling us we live on the exterior of a ball, I've got a bit of an issue with that, because objective reality, the fundamental aspects of my existence tell me that that's impossible. So, do you believe it's a ball?
We know it to be an oblate spheroid.
You know it to be an oblate spheroid.
Well, you're
It's scientific consensus.
I don't want to be condescending, but you know, I don't want an appeal to consensus or an appeal to authority or any of that kind of fallacious reason. I just want you guys direct, you know, what you think and what your experience is, and that's it. So you think it's a ball? or an oblate spheroid.
An oblate spheroid.
You think the same?
Aye.
And you think the same? So can I ask you, can you justify that belief?
Justifying the belief? Well, let's say you stand on the west coast of Ireland
Yep.
and you have a telescope and you point it west.
Yep.
You won't be able to see America.
But that's because of your limitation. You're tiny in comparison to the Earth. Like, see when we look at this street right now, the human perspective is that the floor rises, the walls come in, no parallel lines ever cross, but they appear to us that that's what they do.
Why when a ship sails into the horizon it slowly starts to drop down, so you see the bottom of it go, and then the top, and then the mast will be the last thing that disappears?
Well, optical phenomena like that, there's so many varying contradictions and you know,
Like what?
well, some people on certain days can see further, and then
Sure, you do get
on other
limited
days they don't.
visibility.
So an optical phenomena for me is not the same as an actual tangible substance. When we don't have an exacting science over an optic, like just an untangible visible, that doesn't trump a physical tangible substance like a liquid. So if I'm viewing over a body of water, my first principles, and this is what I'm trying to agree with people, my first principle understanding is that the body of water is level upon its surface before I go to the optical observation. Would you agree with that? Would you disagree with it?
But would you agree that Mars and the Sun and the Moon's round?
To me, I can look at these things, but again, it's illogical and it's a red herring because nothing about the sky gives you measurable shape of the dimensions of the earth beneath your feet. It's like saying, oh well, the pool table balls are round,
Why does
so therefore the
why
pool
does the
table's
Earth
round.
cast a circular shadow on the moon then?
That's just your assumption that that's what happens.
You can see it happen.
See a
But
satellite.
prove that it's a spherical earth that's doing that.
Because you know that it's the sun is on the opposite
Say
side.
when there's an eclipse and the sun's going after the moon, and you see for satellite imaging there's a circle on.
But we have a thing called the Senelian eclipse, where it comes the opposite way. So how can that be then? How can that be the Earth if it's coming
does
the
that work?
opposite direction?
How does that work? It's an alien eclipse. Do you know
I've
what
no
it is?
idea. But this is
I
the
have
point.
no idea. I want to know.
I'm being honest. I don't know. But the thing about it is see when it comes to the sky, it's got nothing to do with establishing the dimensions of the Earth. As I say, if I asked you to make, so that's my point.
So would you?
Like saying that they're not, it's just logical.
It's just it's illogical. It's a red herring. You know, as I say, well, I can look up and say, well, there's a lamp pole. It doesn't follow.
Some guy comes up with a theory that too many people.
As I'm a direct realist, I go by what I can experience in my reality. If somebody's showing me an image on a TV screen that contradicts my reality, I go with the reality, I don't go with the image on the screen. I don't start trying to rework physics and come up with new language in order to explain away my reality. That's dishonest.
You entirely trust your senses 100%?
Not isolated. I can't just trust my vision, purely on vision. Like an untangible optical is not enough for me to establish what it actually is. So looking up at the sky, I see circles, I see blah blah, but they're unattainable to me. I can only visually see them. So we have to have an accumulation of our senses.
But can you trust all of your senses all of the time?
Well,
Working tangent?
I think we've done all
Everything
right.
that you experience is 100% accurate in what's happening.
Also,
Well-
what would you add your other senses into?
Is that-
Get a
Well, if you don't trust your common senses, you're here and you're safe, you're still alive, you're dressed. So you don't think that to be trusted?
No, what I'm saying is, so for instance, like, you get optical illusions,
Yep. A visible. Yeah. That's just a visible though.
and you can't always be 100% sure that what you perceive is what is reality.
Yeah. Just purely on a visible. But if I
Purely
can,
invisible, you get audio illusions.
yeah, of course. But I accumulated them. If I see a visible thing, if I can actually get to it physically, I can then find the dimensions of it, what it's made of, blah blah blah. It's full dimensions. But if I can't get to that, like a luminary in the sky, then it's purely just a visible. So I've not got enough to go on. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the point in science, is to take out that human error in judgment in our senses, because our senses aren't always
how do you
correct.
take out the human error by just looking up at the sky?
Well, we create instruments.
But instruments are based on what? Your senses.
Well, they're based on instruments have certain tolerances and certain, what's the word?
But you have to trust them coming from a human perspective because the human made them.
They're built in with what's the phrase?
the machine.
Yeah,
No, it's not
they've got their
vibe.
basis in mathematics rather than sensory.
Yeah. Mathematics is a wonderful thing as long as it's attached to tangible reality. Like I can send another mechanic on the other side of the world, you know, the mathematical description of an internal four-stroke internal combustion engine. He can then take that and he can apply it to the physical substance and recreate it, which is absolutely fantastic.
True,
That's real tangible science.
More and more abstract maths that we discover later in a certain period of time later, we find that it applies to the real world. I'm
So-
not sure that there's any abstract maths that can't be applied to the real world. I'm not sure.
Well, there's
It is.
mathematics that can tell me that a body of water can conform to the exterior of a shape and display the bend upon its surface. Could you practically demonstrate that to me in the real world?
Even a
I
big
could,
enough body
Where?
of water.
If you give him a big enough body of water.
How big?
Pacific Ocean. How big do you want us to demonstrate on?
Well,
That's what you asked.
if you
You
make
said
a
if
claim
you-
that
if I
a
give you
substance
a
can
body of
behave a
water.
certain way and you say it has to be big, then that's up to you to define that. I've never witnessed a liquid that can behave like that.
Or conform to its shape.
Conform to the exterior of a shape and display it on its surface.
Or
The surface of any body of water is always a horizontal
Yeah,
plane.
but so you have to think about it. Gravity. So gravity affects everything
If I
different.
do that, the key falls.
Yep,
If he's in
You
another
can measure
location-
how quickly it falls
Yep.
by a formula.
that's right.
So it's specific. So if you're saying water is pushed down,
So you're saying gravity is a pushing force?
I'd say
No,
it's
it's not.
It's not a pushing force.
It's not really a pushing or pulling force, it's more of the curvature of space-time, so things are falling.
Right, so you go with Einsteinian description of gravity then rather than
You can
Newtonian.
apply Newtonian and Einsteinian. Newtonian is a good sort of general
Can
sort
you
of
demonstrate
basis.
any of them, Newtonian or Einsteinian?
Newtonian or Einsteinian.
Gravity. Can you demonstrate it?
Yes, you can drop things.
Well, that's just circular reasoning. You're just making the assumption that that's what's actually going on. Show me something separate. Show me two masses attracted to each other.
Well,
Two
it's not a
masses
big
attract
enough
each other.
mass he can't show you something that's big enough to attract to something else. This,
So, I've had these conversations before, and do you know what it's like? And in no disrespect, it's like when I deal with religious people and they'll make excuses. I'll say, right, we'll demonstrate your God or your belief to me, and they'll say it's outside of this reality. I can't. So now we've got people who claim science that give excuses and say I can't show you because. That's religious. That's a religious God of the gaps type excuse to me.
Go in there and get one of the lectures. Okay,
Well, I've been doing this for over 3 years, and I'm actively going to Glasgow University. I've got Gav, who's on my live all the time. He's in his 50s now. He's an honours degree graduate in maths and physics. So he sees the issues and the problems here based on the language and the definitions and the axioms that are being used. It's not that the thing that we have to understand is that in order to have mathematical descriptors, it must be tied to practical reality. And if we don't have that, we don't accept excuses or any of these types of things, because then we're into pseudoscience. Just like anything else, if I says Ness is real, I can't show you though because the earth gets in the way, you're going to think I'm crazy. Do you understand?
But like, you can't demonstrate gravity like properly if you don't have a mass big enough to have its own noticeable gravity. So if you just have a small little pebble, you're not going to be able to see like the gravity working. It has its own.
So you're pretty much just saying that it doesn't have any then?
It has its own gravity, but it's just so weak that you can't actually
Test it.
Exactly.
Is it science then?
Yes.
But you can't test it.
If you had strong enough instruments, you could test it because it still has a gravity.
So I've got to wait for a future time when
Yeah.
somebody has a strong enough instrument, so I've got to take it in faith and belief then, you'd agree?
It's not really in belief. It's in the.
So like I said, maths and science is just a theory.
So gravity's doesn't
so it's a theory.
gravity's not something with geometry. It doesn't have shape. It doesn't have texture to it. It has no substance
We
to
don't
it.
fully understand gravity. There's an idea about our end goal is a quantum theory of gravity,
Yeah.
so describing it via gravitons in the same way we describe other things. But
And do you think it has a geometrical shape then?
I don't know.
Do you think that it would matter what shape the Earth is in order for to have things to fall? It would have to be a ball.
That's what size it is, how much mass it has.
So this is the point again. The way in which objects fall has still got nothing to do with establishing the shape of the Earth beneath our feet. Do you accept that?
I
The way
mean,
with objects
I
fall
would
has
say
nothing
that-
to do with
Establishing the shape of the Earth beneath our feet.
the shape of the earth.
Yeah. But what's the way objects fall got to do with the shape of the Earth?
It's towards the centre.
It's always towards the centre of mass.
So that's just a mathematical description again, and then you have to take that in faith.
If it's always towards the centre of mass, then surely if you were to go to say Antarctica and you dropped the ball and it went down to the floor, and you went to Greenland, and you dropped the ball and it went down to
Yeah.
the floor.
But that doesn't dictate that the Earth's then a ball, does it?
Yeah, I'm an astrologist at this point.
See guys, it's not like it's an argument, because objective reality is not up for debate as far as I'm concerned. What I'll just try and establish is how the language is working and how people have an understanding, or what they think is an understanding of what we've been taught, because I was taught the exact same thing, and I've got people there that have come up through the universities, been given honours degree, certificates and stuff like that, and they now have readdressed the assumptions that they held to be true, and they can see the flaws within it. So do you think I've highlighted anything here that would, that makes you...
You're coming from a point of view of, I can only trust what I can observe, what I can observe to be true.
And do you think there's a flaw with that?
What do you mean by flaw?
Would you would you disagree with that approach that I take?
I'd say that you
I'm an
can't,
empiricist, that's what I am.
I'd say that you can't trust your senses 100% of the time. And we can demonstrate that with illusions. But
Yeah, opticals. So we have to separate, we've got
not just
different
optical,
senses.
but that's more of
yeah.
it. So I'd say that you can't always 100% trust your senses to be giving you a 100% accurate description of reality and depiction of reality. I mean, so the whole point in science is to try and take as much of that away from it as possible. So yes, you're going to have conflictions between what you perceive to be true and what science is telling you,
Yeah.
but I think that's just an inherent sort of
So you would have to apply that then to any other belief that you have in science as well, because it was man, it was human beings' creations, it was their senses that decided these things.
Well, science is the way of
Developed and
it's
refined.
replicating it. How do I phrase this? It's a way of
I know you're dying to go for food, man. Just 2 seconds.
continually replicating a way to discover and understand the world,
Exactly. So
taking out the human error and biases
Yeah.
and anything you might have like that.
Okay. So when
you
we
have to
build
try and trust the method.
So when we build a canal based on the understanding of the natural phenomena, how a liquid behaves, we build these things successfully. So canals are built from one point to the other, totally level.
you can assume that the curvature of the Earth is negligible for the distance that it's.
So if I was to prefab, using Euclidean plane principles and construction principles, if I was to prefab a canal with sections that join each other, these sections have to be vertical and level, plumb, square to each other. That's how we build and construct.
Yeah.
So if I was to prefab that over 30 miles and then sit it onto a ball, we would have an issue.
Aye, in 30 miles, but once you get past the sort of reasonable negligence of the curvature
But you'd
of
have
the
to be
Earth,
factoring the curvature of the Earth into your construction.
not if it's small enough.
Well, there's 8 inches per mile square. So there's 8 inches over the first mile, and then it squares exponentially after that. But we don't account for it in engineering, construction, navigation. It's not
don't.
there. It's not there.
None of it is there.
None of it's there.
Can you demonstrate that?
Aye, I can show you it. I'm explaining it. It's up to you now to go and look at it for yourself.
So you're saying
Don't
that we
believe me.
So are you saying that we don't take into consideration the curvature of the Earth when
No.
we build bridges?
No,
We don't.
but they're built level and plumb, square to each other. So if I've got a body of water between me and you're another engineer, and we've got 30 miles between us, we know that the surface of that body of water is a horizontal plane. If it's the same depth, we then know that we have to build the sections square and plumb to each other in order to fulfil the bridge and finish the construction. It's not like I'm adding extra bits in to account for the curvature of the Earth. As I say, if I was to prefab a 30-mile long bridge or canal, right, and there's my Earth, and then I sit it on top of that, it's going to be away from the Earth. It's not going to be bending round the Earth. Do you understand?
I'm understanding what you're saying. I need to look into that.
Of course, I hope you do look into it, guys. That's all I was looking for. And what I try and say to people is, look, there's a lot of propaganda surrounding this topic, and people try and make it a debate. Again, would you agree that objective reality is singular? It can only be demonstrated. You can't argue. It's not an idea to be won or lost. Would you agree with that?
But different people have different perceptions of reality.
Yeah. So how do we prove to each other what's
Exactly.
real?
That's why we have science.
Exactly. Practicality. Physics, chemistry, biology. The
Mathematics.
natural science. Mathematics is a formal science. It's not a natural science.
It
It's a
can be used to
man-made.
describe nature.
Exactly. but it's a language and it can be used to manipulate. So look into what an axiom is, how they get axioms and for mathematical descriptions. The axioms I take are taken from the natural world. Euclid took his axioms from the natural world and he applied them, and they worked, and they still work, and we still use them. You can't use Euclidean plane principles on a sphere. You need non-Euclidean geometry to go with a sphere, but we don't use non-Euclidean geometry in our everyday life. We use planar geometry. So anyway, guys, I know you're desperate to go. It's been a pleasure speaking to you guys, and as I say, I don't want anybody to fall into the trap that this is an argument and a debate. Debates are for religions, ideas, concepts. Reality doesn't need any of that. It is what it is, regardless of what we believe. Do you accept that? You accept that? Smashing. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for speaking to me.
Right.
Cheers, man.
What's your YouTube channel?
It's Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
Okay.
So you are welcome to come. You'll see loads of trolling, loads of crap, but I have an open platform. Me and Gav are there all the time, and we encourage anybody to come and speak to us and have this discussion. So we're open to the whole shebang. To say I don't have a belief. I don't go with a flat earth model or map or any model or map.
So you're just open-minded then?
I'm just open-minded and I go with reality. No models, no pseudoscience, none of that stuff. Just what can be demonstrated in the real world. That's what I go by. That's my standard. So if you've come along, you'll see it there. I've done this loads of times. I've been to different universities. So it's not about making fun of anybody. It's just about trying to show honest interaction between people. There's too much argumentation and trolling and sides, us against them and all this kind of stuff. Objective science should never be about that. It should just be about human beings endeavouring to find out about the world they live in. And I don't think science should ever be a closed book. It should always be open to discussion. Would you agree? Do you agree? Great, that's all I'm looking for. Thanks again, boys. Appreciate it. See you later, alright? Hi, this young man's very kindly agreed to speak to me. I seen he had the NASA jumper on. I thought I would ask him if he was up for questions. So I take it you're a NASA fan?
Yeah, I don't mind NASA.
You don't mind? So, did you believe everything that NASA shows you?
I mean, I don't believe a lot of stuff, but I mean, I think some of it's true, but some of it could be speculated. Like,
Yeah. Do you think all the images and the photographs that they say they're showing you, do you think they're actually real?
I'm not sure. I mean, potentially they might not be.
Well, what I'm asking people is to try and reason with them. Would you ignore your everyday experience of reality in favour of an image, or would you go with your everyday experience of reality over the image?
At reality.
You'd go with reality. So if I just jump to this quick, because I know I don't want to keep you, you're obviously quite busy. I go with real science, you know, like physics, chemistry, biology, and that's where I get my understanding of the natural world from. So the most important thing, the one point I'll just go with here is, do you understand how a liquid behaves?
Yeah.
What would you describe it as?
Like fluid.
Fluid.
Yeah, free moving, moved particles.
It would take the shape of the container,
Yeah.
and the surface would be, how would you describe the surface?
Flat usually, unless like changed by like wind and so forth.
Wind or current or stuff. So you know the surface is a horizontal plane. If there's 71% liquid water, and you understand that, that's your reality, how can the earth be a ball? See, this is what I'm saying, real world stuff against an image. What would you go with?
I don't know. I think the world's a sphere.
You think it's a sphere?
Yeah.
Is that just belief? You know it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
belief?
just belief, yeah.
It's just easier to believe that, but you've never actually experienced it for yourself, have you? No. Do you think you would think about it, or do you think it's irrelevant to you?
Oh, maybe I think about it.
You think about it? Is what I've just said, that one wee point about the liquids, is that enough to trigger you to maybe have a wee look at it?
Yeah.
Excellent, my man. Thank you for speaking to me. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. Thank you, buddy. So, hi sir, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Patrick,
Patrick. Where are you from, Patrick?
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. I'm Del, Patrick.
Hi.
Lovely to meet you, my man.
Nice to
Thank you
meet
very much. So I'm asking people questions about the world, Patrick.
Yeah.
But what I need to establish first is like a first principle type thing, so that we can agree before we go any further.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you, what is your criteria in order for you to accept something as being objectively true? You know what objective means?
Yeah.
What is your criteria for accepting something being objective?
I need to know the details, what is it about,
Yeah.
and then objectively look at it
Yeah.
without my own opinion, kind
Yeah,
of.
without any bias,
Yeah,
any of that. So would you then say that that would require practical demonstration of a claim?
Yeah.
So like if I made a claim about the world to you, I would be duty bound to actually show you that claim?
It depends what kind of claim it is.
Well, if I claimed something about a substance in the world and its behaviours, and I says to you like, you know, this substance behaves like this, but I can only show you it in an image or a video, would you accept that as enough, or would you actually have to test it for yourself?
Not 100%, but I would be like
Yep.
open to it, definitely.
So we can agree then that an image and a video is not really scientific, objective truth,
No,
is it?
no.
because it can be manipulated, can't it?
It can be.
So without appealing to authority or consensus or any fallacious reasoning or any of these things, I just want to talk about some of my experience of reality and see if you agree or disagree.
Yeah.
If I talk about, what I want to speak about now is liquids. You know how a liquid behaves?
yeah.
Can I ask you how you would describe a liquid's behaviour?
Well, it's hard to press it.
Yep, it doesn't compress.
And,
no.
doesn't compress. And
Would a description that a liquid takes the shape of the container
yeah,
and the surface is always a horizontal plane,
that's right.
you would accept that?
Yeah.
What if I was to show you an image that said something different? Would you accept the image, or would you accept real world reality?
It depends.
It depends.
It depends.
On what?
I would need to see the picture.
Well, if I could never demonstrate it to you really, like here in front of you, and I could only ever just show you an image.
It's very general, but if I see it and
So your experience of the real world is that water takes the shape of the container.
Yeah.
The surface is always a horizontal, flat
yeah.
plane. Do you believe we live on a ball?
and what?
Do you believe that we live on a globular round earth?
Yeah.
Although we've just discussed fluid behaviour.
Yeah, but the Earth is quite big, you know.
So you think increasing the size of it changes its behaviour?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah,
What-
we
what-
don't have the container of the size of the bowl or something like that. Something big like Earth, you know, with such a gravity. So
But
great.
but you can't see that. You can't demonstrate that. It's just a belief in an image. You've never seen the Earth.
it's a belief in physical properties.
Yeah, but the physical properties of liquid tells me that it's impossible for me to be living on a ball. But somebody would say you have to make it bigger. So at what exact size do you think it would have to be before you can start to bend it?
I don't know. I'm not a physician.
So
Physicist, but,
so you understand, you take it on faith then?
Well, I trust to science in this.
But that's if it's not demonstrable, if I can't demonstrate it, it's not scientific, is it?
Yeah, but what is the other way of saying that? What is what is the other opinion then?
Well, if I claim something and I can't demonstrate it, I call that pseudoscience
Yeah.
because it's not demonstrable. So when I
So what do you want to demonstrate?
Well-
What is the other truth, other side of the?
well, I don't have anything. I'm just taking the claim that we live on a ball Earth and I'm applying it to the real world to see if it holds up.
Yeah.
And I can't find any proof to suggest that it's true.
I see it's like different properties if you're comparing something that big like Earth to bowl of water. It's different, you know. There's no gravity, so it's obvious it's not gonna behave the same to liquid.
So, but you still don't know at what size it starts to behave like that.
I don't know.
So if I go to Loch Lomond, Loch Lomond's flat.
Yeah,
But
it's probably
it's
flat.
28 miles long. On the mathematics of the curvature of a globular Earth at
Yeah.
24,000 miles in circumference, there should be hundreds of feet of curvature over that area,
Really?
but it doesn't exist.
No. I don't know.
We see the horizon.
Get to the point.
Well, the point is I'm trying to show people that we have beliefs and we see things on the TV
Yeah,
screen and we assume that they're true. Whereas I'm looking for real scientific proof that the Earth is actually a sphere. The only place I can find that is on my TV screen, an image. The real world doesn't show me that. When you look at the horizon, what shape is it?
Horizontal, like
Horizontal,
straight
straight line, not curved.
line. No.
So you've never experienced the curvature of the Earth,
Not really.
but you believe it's true.
I do.
Is this conversation making you think?
Yeah, you see, like I'm very like I know this movement like Earth flat and stuff. A lot of theories and discussions around it.
Yeah.
So
you know about the topic
I
then?
know,
Yeah.
and I can't say that I'm against both of those sides. I just keep open.
Good. That's what it's about, because real science should never be a closed book.
Yeah.
And there is no, it's not an idea, it's not a religion.
Yeah.
It's just about establishing what's actually true. But it's great that you've heard about it, and hopefully you will.
100% I would believe it if I just fly to space and I see it on my own. Then I can be like.
So you think
100%
space
sure.
is real?
Yeah.
So again, I'll make another point, and this is physics again. If I have a medium that is a vacuum,
Yeah.
or a medium that is water, and I want to create a gas pressure in any of those mediums, I need a container. Right? Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's a fact of our reality. You can't have two opposing pressures without separating them solidly. But yet we're supposed to believe that we exist in a vacuum, and there is no separation between our atmosphere
Right.
and the vacuum.
But there is no vacuum in the space. There's
That's-
always some particles and stuff going
We
on.
say it's almost a near perfect vacuum. But in physics, when we use a vacuum, in order to
Yeah,
create
that's why there is this dark energy and dark matter, which is not really
but they're
scientifically proven.
No.
But there are theories.
it's just the language.
It's just we don't know a lot yet about it, so we can just say it's not there.
Yeah.
It's just
To understand mathematics, like black holes and these things,
Yeah.
they're mathematical concepts. Mathematics is a formal science, it's a language, it's not a natural science.
See, but we see those objects. For example, black hole. We can measure that we have like ice in the sky. We don't see them with our eyes, but they are magnetic waves and other waves. We have detectors, so everything is mathematically proven.
But that's not your experience, you're just hearing
It's
that.
not mine, but if I decide to go study PhD in astrophysics, I can do it. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure,
But astrophysics is about the sky.
Yeah.
Astrophysics looking up the sky doesn't give you proof of the shape of the earth that you're standing on.
It's different science. I don't know.
Exactly,
which
it is a different
is
science.
doing this.
Yep.
Some kind of geology or something, but
Yep.
You know.
So when we construct and we navigate, we use Euclidean plane principles. Do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
Euclidean geometry. So we're using Euclidean geometry in everyday world. That doesn't apply to a globe. You can't use it on a ball.
So what do you suggest?
I suggest that the Earth's demonstrably level. To me, the experience is that it's a level plane.
Yeah.
That's as much as I know. I don't know the full dimensions because
So you truly like kind of step on the side of this flat Earth.
I'm a globe
Argument.
denier. I don't accept the globe because I don't find enough to justify
Yeah,
my
yeah.
belief in it. I can claim through my experience that it's demonstrably level. What the full dimensions are, I don't know because I've never experienced them.
Yeah.
So I don't adopt a straw man or a belief system.
Yeah.
I just remain objective and open-minded to the possibility.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
Nothing
encouraging
wrong
people.
about
Yeah. So thank you very much for speaking to me, man.
Yeah,
It's
no
been a real pleasure, and I hope you keep
Okay.
thinking about it.
Yeah, I will.
All right. The channel is called Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
Yeah, I will write it down.
Yeah, go for it. So on that, I have an open platform, and we invite anybody to come and have the discussion.
Okay.
I have Gav there, who is an honours degree graduate in maths and physics. He understands the language and where the axioms have been taken from, and how they've managed to achieve what they've achieved. So there's people about that know these
No,
subjects.
I know.
and
I've
learn.
been watching like YouTube videos about this topic, like 6 hour longs and stuff. Like I was into it kind of.
There's a lot of propaganda with people
Yeah.
claiming ice walls and pizza floating in
I
space.
know there's
It's ridiculous.
strong arguments on both sides, right? But it's just
Yeah.
hard.
But you're open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm open to everything.
But you accept
I
that.
question everything.
Yeah,
That's
good.
my nature.
But you accept that if you were to believe in a globe, you would be taking it on faith. It's not your experience. It's
Yeah.
only what you see
Yeah,
on a TV. You understand that,
Yeah,
don't you?
definitely.
Excellent. That's real
I've never
intellectual
seen
honesty.
the proof with my eyes,
Exactly.
but I don't,
Excellent.
I don't believe that such a big lie like
But people don't have to lie. People don't have to be lying. If you don't understand the language, I believed it was a globe for the majority of my life. I wasn't lying. I just assumed it to be true, and it's the same for everybody else. See, people think that it has to be a big conspiracy. It doesn't have to be like that. People just are born into it.
See, when somebody takes the telescope and looks into the space and sees all the galaxies and planets, what is that?
Well, that's just luminaries. You know, it's like if I asked you to give me the measurements of your house floor, but I asked you just to do it by looking at the lights, could you give me the dimensions of your house floor by the lights?
No.
So you understand it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what's up there. I'm trying to find out what the shape is down here. You know?
And if the shapes of other planets we see are round, how can we suspect that the Earth is not round?
Well, again, that's fallacious reasoning, fallacious logic, because that's like me saying, oh well, the pool balls are round, therefore the table must be round.
Right.
You understand? It's not really.
I know,
You know, it doesn't follow.
It's just.
So
So what was the name again? Sorry.
it's beyond the imaginary curve.
Beyond the
The imaginary
imaginary curve.
curve, yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I gotta run.
Nice one. Appreciate it.
for
Thanks
the
again, my man.
interview.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, take
Hope
care.
to see you again. Cheers.